can't get in. It's raining so hard he can't get in.
No, it's bad out there.
So we're going to chat to him about various things. It's going to be a longer phone call than probably we've ever done before because there is a lot to cram in. But yeah, he discovered. As I understood it, he discovered the site of the Battle of Northam, or he did a lot to publicise the Battle of Northam.
Yeah, because I've just been reading his Wikipedia page.
You found out that he also discovered the site of another battlefield.
Indeed, yeah, because he studied history.
Yeah.
At university, he studied history, not science, as you would think. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting talking to him.
So he got the Battle of Kinwit in 878 and the Battle of Northam, which was 1069. And crucially, the Battle of Northam was, in many senses, as important as the Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings gave William the Conqueror, his kind of like entry into England and becoming the king. He made himself king of England, but there was still a lot of resistance, and as well as the northern barons who resisted him, and that it resulted in the harrowing of the north. Even before then, some of the Saxons kind of gathered in the West Country, and there was this very, very major battle in 1069 right here in North Devon between Appledore and Northam. Hence the Battle of Northam. And what Nick's going to be talking to us about, to a large extent, is that site, somebody wants to build a load of houses on it.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's nowhere else, anywhere in the country where we could build some houses but on a battlefield of major significance. And the thing is, it's a really significant battlefield, but people haven't even found out how significant it is yet. Like, everyone knows about Hastings. No one would think of building houses on Senlac Hill.
Yeah.
But they're talking about building houses on this, which is a really major battlefield. In 1069, William finally absolutely defeated all Saxon resistance, with the exception of the northern barons, which was another thing again. Yeah. But it's a massively important battle, and they want to build houses on it. So there's a little bit of a meeting taking place, but I'll let Nick tell us all about that.
Right.
We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad.
How do you know I'm mad?
You accepted an invitation to be on book club with Simon and Oli on The Voice, didn't you?
Oh yeah, good point. Well put.
Now, hopefully, if we've done this right, we should have Nick Arnold on the other end of the phone.
Nick, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey,
good evening.
Fantastic evening.
Okay, where are we going to start? Simon, do you want to start, or shall I?
No, absolutely. Nick, we've been really looking forward to chatting to you. We actually met at Appledore Book Festival.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, last year. And we interviewed you. Ollie and I...
It was actually the festival before,
yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a chat, so we have kind of met. But we've been looking at your Wikipedia page, and you've had an amazing career.
Oh, wonderful. Guilty as charged in that case.
And it says that you started... You were very serious about getting a book published, and you actually went and you thought, my best route in is to become an editor, which is an interesting route.
Well, yes. I mean, there are two ways to climb a mountain. First of all, you go up the steep way, which, as an author, means basically writing a book and sending it to publishers. And then the sort of cheeky way, the roundabout way, is to get in as an editor and then get to write books on the inside, as it were. And that's what I did.
That's a really good way in. Was it easy to get a job as an editor? I mean, presumably you've been to university, you studied creative writing, or how did you kind of get through that door?
In fact, I studied history, but my ambition all the way along was to become a writer. It was just a matter of luck. The job came up, and I was in the right place at the right time.
Which publishing house did you start at?
Well, it was a small publisher based in what's now the University of North London, and what they did was publish science books for children. So, having studied history, I suddenly found myself involved in science books and absolutely loved it. And I got to write the books, and I carried on ever since.
Because it says on Wikipedia you weren't too keen at science when you were at school.
Oh dear. I mean, to be fair, I love my biology lessons.
Right.
But the other sciences just didn't seem to be gory enough for me. I was a rather bloodthirsty child. I was much more fond of history or writing horrible stories to upset my English teachers.
I'm thinking shades of The Man with Two Brains, where he said, I knew I wanted to be a brain surgeon because of all the lovely, yucky stuff inside someone's head. You know? So you studied history at university. You weren't so hot on science in school, but then you really wanted to be a writer more than anything else. But how did you end up writing the Horrible Science series? Because the Horrible History series was doing tremendously well, and you'd obviously missed that boat.
Well, sadly I had, but I was writing science books, remember? So what I did was I wrote to all the publishers in the country, all of them, and I said, do you want me to write a book for you? And Scholastic got back to me and said, well, have you got some ideas for a funny and horrible science series? Which gave me a shock because I didn't actually think of science as being funny or horrible. And then I got thinking and came up with an idea called Ugly Bugs, about insects. And then I thought of the obvious one, which was all about the body and the funny and horrible parts of the body. So that became Blood, Bones and Body Bits.
Yep.
Well, that was the start of it all.
Wow. And that presumably just kind of led on. So you've got those published. How did it feel when you kind of, because you'd gone so deep into it to try and get books published, when you actually got your first book published? How was that? Because you haven't got an agent. You've done all this yourself.
I mean, really, someone ought to dig out the old closed-circuit TV files, because you'd see this sort of this shady character hanging around in bookshops and sort of gazing strangely at particular books on a particular part of the bookshop and resisting the urge to grab members of the public and say, there's my book. Yeah.
We know that feeling.
I do sometimes hang around in libraries and kind of point parents towards when children look, I wonder what book I should get, and I'm like, try this one. Have you tried this one? Pushing my book. Then it's kind of come to a certain extent full circle. In that you've got these books out about science, but your history, you haven't kind of dropped history. History is still really important, and particularly the history of the Battle of Northam, which we were just briefly discussing before. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's
right. Well, obviously you haven't got 24 hours of me, so I'll be very brief. I was initially researching a place in Northam called Bloody Corner, that rather strange name. So what did that mean? What was the history? And that led me initially to a battle which was supposed to have taken place there, and I proved actually took place near Bideford back in 878. And then I wanted to find out what actually did happen at Bloody Corner. And that led me to the story of two forgotten royal princes and an army from Ireland which was virtually wiped out in a bloody battle which has been described as a sequel to the Battle of Hastings.
Right.
So the first battlefield site that you sort of discovered was this Battle of Kinwit, which was between Saxons and Vikings, and sort of made yourself a little bit famous with that. And then additionally, you discovered all this stuff about the Battle of Northam. And I mean, this, as you say, it's the sequel to the Battle of Hastings. It's a major battle, and it was the last really major resistance to William I, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really set the seal on the Norman conquest. It is ever so important, and it should be ever so famous. But right now, it's one of these like almost pointless answers on a quiz show because no one knows, apart from the experts and some real history buffs and of course local people.
Yeah. So what is there to mark the site at the moment? Is there a little kind of visitor centre or a little display of information about the battle or anything?
There is absolutely nothing.
Wow.
But if I can give a plug to a website.
Sure. Of course, absolutely, yes.
If people go on battleofnortham.co.uk, is a website dedicated to the Battle of Northam, and it's absolutely full of really brilliant information, so it'll tell you everything.
Fought on Friday the 26th of June, 1069.
Correct.
And how on earth did you actually start to discover where the battle had taken place? How do you begin that process?
Okay, so what we're talking about here is detective work.
Yeah.
Basically, what you have to do is you have to go back to original sources. That is to say, people who are writing at the time or as close to the time as possible. And then you have to look at every other bit of evidence that you possibly can get. And that's what I did. It was really joining up the dots. But I was very lucky in one respect, and that is that it turns out that you can actually locate this battlefield by using the times of high tide and dusk for the day of the battle. And the reason for that was that the battle ended at high tide and dusk. And it turned out that because they were really close together, that meant the battle had to be really close to Appledore. So it was kind of scientific proof, if you like, that we were on the right track.
Wow. How clever.
Did you, having to sort of discovered or decided where you thought the battle took place, was there any kind of attempt to do geophys or some sort of metal detectoring or anything like that?
Oh, hold on. You're talking to a humble children's author. I don't do that kind of stuff.
I said geophys as though I knew what I was talking about, but it's from watching Time Team.
Yeah.
It's exactly all I know is about
Time
Team.
Very impressive.
But is it likely that there are arrowheads or shield bosses or something buried under the soil around the area and things like that?
Okay, I don't know is the answer to that. It depends on all sorts of things. It depends on soil chemistry. It depends on how well scavenged the site was, and so on. What the site really needs is it needs proper archaeological work done at it. And what it certainly doesn't need is what it's facing now is being bulldozed out of existence in its crucial areas.
Which sounds absolutely crazy. Now, is there any kind of campaign going to try and prevent this from happening?
Well, there's me.
Yeah.
I'm actually really, really upset about this.
Oh, yeah.
Because in 2016, when I announced this battlefield to the world, it got worldwide publicity.
It did, yes, I remember.
I felt that I was giving the people of North Devon a really early Christmas present.
Yeah.
Think of a goose that lays the golden eggs.
Yeah.
Now, the Battle of Hastings is the only other comparable battlefield in the country to this site.
Yeah.
That's all there is. 137,000 people paid to go to the Battle of Hastings in 2016.
Yeah.
How many people do you think could be attracted to our area to use our shops, our businesses, our hotels and pubs and cafes without even having to pay?
Yeah.
I think we're talking thousands. I think we're talking millions of pounds into the pockets of local people.
So they're planning to build houses on the site now? I mean, this is plans that are already on the table?
These are plans which are going to be voted on by the Plans Committee of Torridge District Council at 9:30, Bideford Town Hall on the 1st of February. I don't want to be a wet blanket, but it does look like the planners are going to tell the councillors to vote for it.
Yeah.
Couple of things kind of come to my mind. First of all, are there any good books, or are you planning to write a book or something about that battle? Because if the battle isn't very well known, the more of a story out there surrounding that battle, it's going to create much more interest in it. Is there anywhere, any books that you can recommend? Or as I say, are you going to write a book about that battle?
Well, no one's really written a book about it because at the moment it's so obscure. Like I said, this is really weird because it is so important.
Yeah.
And you're talking about members of or ancestors of our present royal family you're talking about thousands of people being killed.
Yeah, I didn't realise the bit about an army coming over from Ireland. So this was the two brothers of Harold Godwinson, who was killed at Hastings. They sort of massed this army, and some of them were Irish troops?
Yeah, I mean, if you can imagine, everyone knows about Battle of Hastings,
Yeah.
and the English army wasn't totally wiped out. There were survivors. Well, these guys, a lot of them carried on supporting these princes, and they were fighting at the Battle of Northam. But they were also backed by the King of Ireland. This is quite interesting because this is like an international battlefield. So it's not just of interest to British people, it's of interest to people from France, Denmark and elsewhere. And in answer to your question, yes, I'm writing a book.
Good.
Excellent.
Fantastic. And do you do? Where have you written it, or are you writing? When's anticipated? When can we look forward to a publication date? And will you come into the studio and talk about it when it comes out?
Wow,
Please.
lots of questions. First question. Well, I'm writing it as we speak. I would very much
Fantastic.
like the book to end on a happy ending.
Yes.
But that will depend on the 1st of February.
Right.
As for when we can expect to read it, I'd love to see it in the shops for 2019. Why? Do the maths. It's 950 years since the battle was fought.
Of course.
And yes, I'd love to come in and talk about it on your show.
Fantastic. And I'm not being funny. Have you actually approached Time Team?
Would that be the Time Team that stopped broadcasting?
Stopped broadcasting
a few
quite a
years
while ago. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't.
All those because I haven't seen the programme for ages. All I see is it flicking up on TV. Really, is there not an equivalent?
No, not really.
Not really, no. I mean, I think the problem
I think
is
I'd be
that
tempted
the cost
to get
of archaeology
contact with
is
Tony
beyond
Robbins.
TV.
Yeah. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, it did run for quite a long time, but you know, all good things come to an end. And is there any way of getting the site recognised as like an important historical site? Because I know I was just recently researching battlefields in Scotland for an article I was asked to write, and there are 37 specific sites in Scotland that are designated as of sort of major historical importance. I know Northern Burrows is a site of special scientific interest. Is there any way of getting the battlefield marked out as a site of special historical interest? Is there such a thing?
Yes, is the answer,
Yep.
but not what you think.
Right.
Without going into sort of enormously complex planning matters, it's actually quite difficult to get a battlefield designated quickly. It's certainly not going to happen by the 1st of February.
No.
In the future, I have hoped that there's a local plan being drawn up in Northam Parish, and I'm hoping that there will be some protection for the battlefield in that.
Yeah.
But this plan won't be adopted at least for another year. And in the meantime, we've got this horrible loophole in which the battlefield could be destroyed. And one thing I ought to say is that just because a battlefield doesn't have a lot of protection doesn't mean it's not worthy of a protection. It just means we're not very lucky with it.
Yeah.
It's only just been discovered. I mean, what I would ask all listeners to do, if they care about this battlefield at all, is if they wouldn't mind emailing Torridge District Council and just saying, giving their name and address and giving the reference 1//2017/2017.
They're never going to remember that, are they?
No, we can put it on our Facebook
FULM.
page.
Right.
Can you make a note of it?
We'll have to make a note of that and put it on the page or something.
If they do that and address the email to planning control at torridge.gov.uk and just say, I object to building on this battlefield, and I want to keep this green gap between Appledore and Northam. That's all they need to say. They have to do their name and address, and we've got basically 2 days to do it before time runs out for objections.
Okay,
Right.
so can you give me that? So the message subject line needs to be, what is it?
It has to be reference 1// 256/2017 and then FULM.
Right. Okay, and it's planning control at...
Planning control at torridge.gov.uk.
Right.
And if people do that, they have to put their name and address as well, otherwise it doesn't count.
It doesn't count, yeah, obviously, because they need to be living in the area. It's not much point if you get somebody from Boston, Massachusetts, phoning in and saying
yes, they do. Yes, they can be anywhere they like.
Oh, okay,
Doesn't
right.
really matter.
Just got to prove they're real people.
Yeah, okay. Do you also want people to turn up on the February the 1st, waving placards?
Yeah, we would love people to turn up on February the 1st. I mean, these plans committee people, they're good counsellors and caring counsellors.
Yeah.
But what they want to see is that good and caring people care about the battlefield.
Okay.
Numbers really do count.
Okay.
So it's Bideford Town Hall, which is in Bridge Street, Bideford, at 9:30. 1st of February.
1st of February.
To remember.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll put something on the Facebook page or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Do we haven't sort of plugged your? We've got to plug your books again, which is
thank you.
all the horrible science,
Sciences, yeah.
Horrible Science series. And is there anything else, or is it just the Horrible Science series, which is quite a lot of books? So I don't.
Well, I mean, the Horrible Science series has kept me busy for 20 years.
Is it really?
Which, I mean, is longer than a lot of people spend in prison. That's really enough. I mean, I have written other series, and I actually write for other publishers.
Okay.
And I also write for a lovely science magazine, which some listeners may know, which is called Whiz Pop Bang, and it's a science magazine for kids.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm just looking. I mean, the list of books on Amazon of yours runs to 7 pages.
Oh my goodness!
So it's a sign you've been busy.
You do kind of get on with the job, don't you? Is it like, because with Horrible Histories, they turned it into a TV series, and it's now going out as a stage show touring the country and stuff like that. Are there plans to do Horrible Science as a TV series?
Yeah, been there, done it.
Been there, done that. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been a Horrible Science stage show by the same people as did Horrible Histories.
Yeah, I think
really
I have.
Successful.
Yeah, I think I've seen that advertised.
That's been on 2 national tours, and then Children's ITV have done a Horrible Science series. So that's been on, like TV nowadays, they repeat everything forever.
Forever, yeah.
So that's been on a few times.
Yep. Fantastic. Have you got your own website?
Absolutely. Nick Arnold website.com.
Okay.
But just Google Nick Arnold and you'll find me.
You come up. And if people want to check out the Battle of Northam, it's battleofnortham.co.uk. Simple as that.
Easy to remember. Just Google Battle of Northam and you'll find it.
Yeah, okay. And be there at Bideford Town Hall at 9:30.
Yeah, I want to see all these lovely listeners there. Well, we want crowds of people.
We'll try and arrange it. I mean, people are passionate about that sort of thing. So, hopefully we can muster support for you.
Yeah, because in the future it could be a place where people are coming in their droves to see where this battle took place, and if there's a visitor centre and things like that, it could be quite a lot of potential revenue for tourist businesses.
Yeah.
Absolutely, exactly that. I mean, this is a battlefield. It doesn't actually belong to us in some ways. It belongs to future generations.
Yeah, I'd second that, definitely. Thank you so much for coming on, Nick.
Well, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to when your book comes out and we can talk to you again and get you in the studio. I bought cake and then I realised that you weren't coming in, but I'd already bought it. So we're going to eat it all here.
Think of me anyway.
Oh, we will. Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks you
again.
Bye.
Bye.
Local music. Local choice. The Voice.